Gonna go on a song and say, verbatim, you still hang with them that done got your partner whacked? Okay. So you got 21 Savage on your album. And then 21 Savage.
Some stories don't explode right away. They sit in the background, building pressure until everything suddenly snaps and people realize something serious was happening the whole time. That's exactly the kind of energy surrounding this situation, because the moment details started leaking out, it had everyone looking around like, wait, how deep does this go? Atlanta isn't new to drama, but this one had the whole city on alert from the moment it surfaced. Ever had that moment where the people you trust the most suddenly don't feel as solid as you thought? That's the energy surrounding this whole situation, because what went down behind the scenes wasn't just some small misunderstanding. It was something that shook Atlanta in a way folks still whisper about today. This story starts with Lil Baby losing someone who was way more than just a friend. Marlo was like his real brother. They had history, they had the grind, they came up from the same concrete. But when Marlo's situation took a dark turn on the interstate, the streets started buzzing with rumors that someone from inside the industry knew more than they were saying, and that someone was tied to 21 Savage. Things got tense fast, and the whispers haven't stopped since. What makes this whole situation even heavier is that people close to it claim that moves were made behind the curtain, and not everyone involved had clean intentions. The tension grew so real that Young Thug had to step in before the whole city turned into chaos. Atlanta was one wrong move away from turning into an all-out feud, and the only reason it didn't explode was because certain people stepped in to keep the peace. But before we even get deeper into that mess, you gotta understand how tight Lil Baby and Marlo actually were. They weren't just artists on the same label. They were locked in from the very beginning. Same block, same struggles, same dreams. Coming up in Bankhead, one of the toughest parts of Atlanta, created a bond between them that wasn't just about music, it was about survival. When they both got signed to Quality Control, everybody around them thought they were about to rise together.
I got Wham and Savage on the phone to stop whatever could have happened with them. I got niggas on the phone.
But life didn't play out the same for both of them. Lil Baby's career took off like he was meant for the spotlight, while Marlo's music didn't catch the same breakout moment. According to P from QC, that gap put Marlo in a tough position. His music wasn't bringing in the same money, and he still wanted to keep up with the lifestyle his brother was building. Lil Baby did everything he could to pull Marlo into the industry lane. Studio time, features, deals, opportunities. Baby was pushing him hard, trying to keep him away from anything that could drag him back into old habits. You could even see in interviews how much Baby believed in him.
With 4L up on them bodies, Lil Baby, Marlo, yeah, he know what I'm talking about. 4L, we ain't gonna say too much. We up on them bodies, we talking double digits.
But Marlo wasn't ready to fully let go of the street life. Even with a deal, even with support, even with a real path out, he was still handling business back in Bankhead. And that right there, that mix of loyalty, pride, and trying to juggle both worlds is what set the stage for everything that happened next. Because staying connected to those old situations is what pulled Marlo straight into the drama involving 21 Savage, and that's the part most people don't really know the truth about. Now here's something about Marlo that casual fans never understood, and this piece right here changes the whole way you look at the story. Before anyone tries to paint Marlo like just another rapper pretending to be tough, let's clear that up right now, because that's not the story at all. Marlo didn't build his name through music first. His name was already ringing everywhere in Bankhead long before there was a studio booth involved. He was one of those guys people respected instantly because they knew what lane he moved in and what circles he was connected to. Marlo wasn't rolling solo either. He had strong ties with PFK, Play for Keeps, also known as 3L, and that whole squad had deep connections that stretched into the Goodfellas circle. This wasn't lightweight business, and Marlo was allegedly involved in way more than just moving product. He was handling serious responsibilities for the crew, the type of stuff only trusted members ever get near. Now here's where things really start heating up. The moment that supposedly put Marlo straight onto 21 Savage's radar was the situation with Capo Nuke, and Nuke was not just some random guy out here. He was a major figure in the Goodfellas group, recently back home after doing a heavy stretch, and his name carried weight everywhere he stepped. People respected him, people feared him, and he had strong ties to the 4L circle that 21 Savage stands behind. According to the whispers on the streets, Nuke was getting involved with Marlo's child's mother, and Marlo wasn't rocking with that at all. Folks claim Marlo felt like that crossed a boundary that couldn't just be ignored, and after that, things took a turn.
Get on the album and say, get him smacked, then turn around and give his brother dap. So he dissing your partner on your album. Probably said it in the studio with you.
The streets say a call was made, and Nuke was suddenly no longer around, and that single move changed Marlo's entire fate instantly. Because when someone like Nuke disappears and his people realize who it traces back to, it can't just slide quietly. Nuke was tied to folks close to 21 Savage, and that kind of situation creates pressure that demands a response. From that moment forward, Marlo had eyes on him from directions he didn't even see coming. Now, to really understand how everything spiraled from there, you gotta know about Baby Drill. His real name is Del Cristo Wilson, and he was a younger guy trying to climb the ranks fast. He wasn't just rapping, he was deeply connected to 21 Savage's 4L crew and was building a reputation for being loyal, aggressive, and ready to prove himself in any way he could. So when people claim 21 Savage put a target on Marlo because of the situation with Nuke, Baby Drill allegedly saw that as his big chance to level up. This was his moment to show he could handle major assignments, and he took that idea seriously. What makes it even wilder is how Baby Drill supposedly used the whole situation to push himself deeper into the music scene. He started dropping tracks where he hinted at what went down, like 32 Freestyle and his collaborations with Young Nudie. He wasn't naming names, but the streets felt the messages instantly, and that added a whole new layer of tension to everything tied to Marlo. Baby Drill had a moment in one of his tracks where he bragged about dropping the biggest op at 17, and anyone who knows the history could tell exactly who he was hinting at.
They 4PL.
4PL.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference, man.
Oh, God.
What's the difference?
Shit, we the biggest. Big 4L.
Big 4L.
The streets had already been whispering that on July 11th, 2020, right after Marlo left a Bankhead reunion, Baby Drill and his crew allegedly trailed him onto the I-285 route and went after his car. Marlo's car lost control, crashed out, and he didn't make it through the impact, a moment that shook Atlanta overnight. What made everything sound even crazier later was that Baby Drill eventually got locked up for another heavy case unrelated to Marlo, which had people saying this wasn't the first time he'd been tied to something serious. His name was already floating around in too many stories for it to be coincidence. But to really understand why 21 Savage supposedly wanted Marlo out of the picture, you gotta know how deep the politics run in Atlanta. 21 Savage stands behind 4L, a circle that includes Slaughter Gang and connects with different blood-affiliated sets across the city. Meanwhile, Marlo had ties to PFK, or 3L, a crew with roots stretching into the Goodfellas side. What's wild is that these groups weren't always enemies. There's old clips floating around showing 21 Savage and Marlo chilling together in the 9th Ward, laughing and showing love like everything was cool. They were eating together, doing business, and respecting each other's lanes. But once the situation with Capo Nuke went down, everything flipped instantly. Nuke wasn't just another face in the streets. He had pull, respect, and connections that reached straight into 21 Savage's circle. And when word spread that Marlo was allegedly responsible for what happened to Nuke, that bond between the crews shattered within seconds. That's when the tension exploded. 4L members started applying heavy pressure to anybody tied to PFK. People started getting pressed, robbed, jumped, and publicly embarrassed just for being connected. Young guys in 4L were moving aggressively, making sure nobody from 3L could walk around comfortably. One of the darkest losses during this whole back and forth was Mad Rock, an 18-year-old 4L member who had a reputation for being active. He was caught in a car-related hit, and when word spread that he didn't survive, the streets immediately blamed PFK for getting their get back. At that point, everyone knew things were spiraling into a cycle that could end only when major players were no longer involved. And then came the part that really had people looking at 21 Savage sideways. The streets were already accusing him of being behind what happened to Marlo, but what shocked folks even more was what he did afterward. Instead of staying quiet, he went on Lil Baby's own album and threw slick shots at Marlo while Lil Baby was still grieving his closest friend. The disrespect was loud, and everyone who heard that verse knew exactly who those lines were meant for. The wildest part about this whole situation is how bold 21 Savage moved afterward. The man felt confident enough to sneak disrespectful lines onto Lil Baby's own project, acting like nothing could touch him. It almost felt like he was checking Lil Baby's temperature, seeing whether Baby would stand up for Marlo or just keep quiet for the sake of his career and industry relationships. And the timing made it even colder. Baby was still trying to process losing someone who felt like real family. And here comes 21 Savage sliding in those slick lines, basically hinting at the situation like it was a joke. Normally, that kind of energy would spark something immediate in the streets, but the music business doesn't play by the same rules at all. Now picture being Lil Baby, slowly realizing the truth behind the scenes. Sources close to the circle said that when Baby learned 21 Savage might have had a hand in what happened to Marlo, it crushed him. He wasn't thinking about fame, labels, or charts. Baby was ready to stand on business and handle things the way he grew up handling them. People around him claimed he was prepared to go straight at 21 Savage and the entire 4L camp, but that's where everything got complicated. Both artists were generating serious money, had huge teams behind them, and nobody in those offices was about to let a street-level feud ruin major business deals. And what hurt Baby the most wasn't even the situation itself. It was the idea that 21 Savage could smile in his face, hop in the studio with him and act cool, all while allegedly knowing exactly what went down with Marlo. That's when Young Thug stepped in. Thug has always been about protecting Atlanta's unity in the rap world. He's said in interviews that he's mediated plenty of beefs behind closed doors because once Atlanta artists start fighting, the whole city loses. Money stops moving, shows get canceled, and everything becomes unstable. When Thug caught wind of just how bad things were getting between Lil Baby and 21 Savage, he knew this wasn't something he could ignore. This wasn't small tension. This had the potential to turn into a full-on clash between two major camps with deep connections all over Atlanta. Thug reportedly got both Lil Baby and 21 Savage on a three-way call and laid everything out straight. He told them they were too big, too successful, and too influential to let something like this blow up the whole city. He reminded them that Atlanta built its reputation on unity. Artists helping each other, not tearing each other apart in front of the world. According to Thug himself, he told them something along the lines of, "Man, y'all brothers, we not entertaining none of that internet noise or what people outside the city are saying." He made sure they understood that their choices would impact not just themselves, but everybody connected to them. Thug wasn't playing when he checked both of them. He let them know straight up that this wasn't internet drama, this was real life, and he didn't want to watch two major Atlanta names crash everything they built over something that could spiral into something way bigger. He even said both of them could get online and admit he personally got them on a call and told them to cool it down. Even though Thug managed to calm things publicly, everybody in the streets knew the truth was still sitting heavy underneath, and that's exactly why Gunna later felt bold enough to slide that line into his own music, the one where he basically called out Lil Baby for being around somebody who done got your partner handled. That bar didn't just stir the pot, it confirmed what people had already been whispering for months, because Gunna was basically saying out loud what the streets believed. Lil Baby was still cool with 21 Savage even though he knew 21 allegedly had something to do with what happened to Marlo. And when folks saw Baby post about Marlo, then delete it within minutes, it made people question everything. After that, the streets started wondering if Baby really wanted justice for Marlo, or if he was choosing his industry position over old loyalty. And one thing that really made the situation feel strange? Baby suddenly stopped acknowledging Marlo altogether. Before all this, Baby used to show love every year. Birthdays, anniversaries, old memories. He kept Marlo's name alive. But once the rumors about 21 Savage's alleged involvement began spreading, Baby went silent. No more posts, no shoutouts, no tributes. It was like Marlo faded from Baby's public world, and for someone he called a brother, that shift hit people hard. Marlo's family, friends, and many people in the city noticed immediately. Folks started questioning whether Baby was distancing himself because the truth made things too complicated. or because he didn't want to jeopardize the business relationships that were making him millions. And this whole situation exposed something a lot of people outside Atlanta never fully understand. The politics between the music scene and the streets are tangled up tight. You got artists with huge deals, private jets, and chart-topping records. But behind the curtain, they're still connected to neighborhood crews that don't get along at all. And when those crews clash, careers, friendships, and lives get affected instantly. People like Chris, Jeremiah, and other street commentators didn't hold back either. They started questioning Baby's whole image, saying the situation put dents in his credibility. They asked how someone can rap about loyalty, brotherhood, and standing on business while still being cool with the same folks connected to what happened to his closest friend. And in Atlanta, that question echoed everywhere. The deeper you look into this situation, the more you realize how the industry can twist everything behind the scenes. Once money enters the chat, the rules change fast. Managers, label execs, business partners, they all want to keep their artists out of drama because any kind of street tension makes investors nervous and slows the whole machine down. When millions are tied up in shows, records, branding, and partnerships, nobody wants beef messing up the profits. So even if someone feels like standing on loyalty, there's always somebody in a suit telling them to fall back, stay quiet, and protect the bag. That's why these situations get messy so quickly. You've got street loyalty on one side and corporate pressure on the other, and both sides pull in completely different directions. And when you zoom out, this whole situation really comes down to loyalty, betrayal, and what happens when someone tries to juggle two different worlds at once. Lil Baby lost someone who wasn't just a friend. Marlo was family to him. But the moment rumors started tying 21 Savage to everything that happened, that bond they once had shattered instantly. The streets say 21 Savage allegedly made moves through Baby Drill, his young, hungry artist who was trying to level up. And after everything went down, 21 still had the nerve to throw shade on Lil Baby's own project like nothing happened. That alone had people looking around like, yo, this is wild, because that type of disrespect would normally set off instant chaos in the streets. And if Young Thug hadn't stepped in, Atlanta might have exploded into something the city wasn't ready for. Thug knew this wasn't just two artists arguing. This involved entire crews, connected circles, and long histories. He had to jump in before things spiraled into a full-on situation that would have affected way more people than just Baby and 21. But even with the peace talks, the damage was already done. The trust was broken, the streets were whispering nonstop, and people could see Lil Baby slowly distancing himself from Marlo publicly. The posts stopped, the shout-outs disappeared, the tributes vanished. For a lot of folks in the city, that silence said more than any interview ever could. Because when someone suddenly stops showing love to a person they used to call a brother, people start asking questions, and those questions never fully faded away. They just turned into quiet conversations behind closed doors, especially after folks realized how deep the industry politics ran. It showed everybody that when you're trying to survive in the music world, business relationships sometimes get placed above street loyalty, even if nobody wants to admit it. And that's why this story still gets brought up years later. It's more than rumors. It's a reminder of how messy things can get when the streets and the industry overlap. And whether people like it or not, Atlanta hasn't forgotten a single detail. If you're still here watching, make sure you drop a comment below and tell me what you think about everything that went down, because this situation had layers on top of layers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of the wild stories we break down next. And before you go, make sure you watch the next video popping up on your screen. Trust me, if you're into celebrity drama, the next one gets even crazier.